addresses that issue in a USA Today op-ed this morning, saying America must remain vigilant. Michael Chertoff is former Homeland Security Secretary under President George W. Bush. He's also co-author of the Patriot Act and the founder and managing principal of the global management and security consulting firm, the Chertoff Group. Nice to have you with us, Secretary.
Good morning.
We just heard from Representative Frank, who say, you know what, we've got mission accomplished to a certain extent of what we originally went into Afghanistan for, namely to get Osama bin Laden. It took quite a while, ultimately did it, and we should get out. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. In fact, I think the lesson of what's happened in the last couple of days is that that area of South Asia, Pakistan and Afghanistan, remains the central core of al-Qaeda. And look, you've had bin Laden obviously hiding in Pakistan in a suburban area where we have real questions about whether some of the members of the Pakistani military establishment knew or connived in it. And that doesn't tell me that we ought to get out of the region. It tells me we ought to make sure that we continue to move forward to prosecute the war there.
I want to ask you more about Pakistan, but first back to sort of the terrorist threat itself. We've heard from a number of people, including the president, that there might be an expectation of some reprisals. At least we need to be on high alert. Given your experience as Homeland Secretary, do you agree with that?
I do. I think that's reasonable. Look, I don't know that anybody has specific information about an imminent attack, but common sense tells you that al-Qaeda is going to want to strike back in order to send a message that they are still very much active and very capable. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow, because the ability to mount an attack takes a certain amount of planning. But we do have to look to something certainly between now and the 10th anniversary of September 11th. And we also have to worry about spontaneous action by al-Qaeda sympathizers who may just on their own decide to take some kind of action.
Sure. Of course, many people have noted, and were quite surprised, I would expect, to see where, in fact, Osama bin Laden was hiding out. It's not even clear that he was necessarily hiding. What about Pakistan, a country where we contribute about $4 billion to a year in both military and other aid? How do we change our approach, if at all?
Well, Pakistan has been a partner of ours over the years in dealing with terror, but they've been an uncertain partner. And I think, this episode raises which I think have to be answered about whether there are elements of the military or intelligence establishment that either turned a blind eye or perhaps even assisted bin Laden in hiding out. And that's very troubling for a couple of reasons. First of all, it does raise questions about our current relationship with Pakistan. But more important, it raises questions about Pakistan's own government and whether there's stability in the leadership there, if there are elements within the establishment that may be potentially hostile or trying to subvert the existing political structure. So, look, we've got a nuclear power. It's a very dangerous neighborhood, and I think that's got to be a principal area of focus.
Secretary Larry Bossidy, one of the concerns that I have has to do with Yemen, with a big al-Qaeda cell and its proximity to Saudi Arabia. And if they seek to upset the oil market even further, that could be a calamitous event for us. What's your thoughts on that subject?
Larry, I think you're completely right about that. I think the areas that we ought to be looking at besides Pakistan are those that are surrounding our friends and allies in the Gulf. And that really means two places. Yemen, where it looks like we may watch the creation of another Somalia, and where we already have an existing cell of al-Qaeda that has been very active. And then let me remind everybody, on the other side you have Iran, which my view has been operating in Bahrain to try to stir up trouble and to take advantage of some of the tension that exists between the Shia and the monarchy. And obviously the Saudis and other Gulf states are very mindful of Iran's traditional interest in exerting its power in the Gulf region.
Secretary Chertoff, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Michael Chertoff.
All right, coming up, more of today's top